Level 1. The Candidate. You arrive at Scout Sniper School, carrying 60 pounds of gear through Carolina humidity that feels like breathing through a soaked towel. Nobody welcomes you. Nobody motivates you. The instructors are already watching, already sorting the class into categories you can't see. But they can. Potential. Marginal. Waste of time. They never tell you which one you are. Only where to stand, when to move, and how fast to fail. The attrition rate is 70%. They mention this on the first morning like it's weather information. 7 out of 10 of you will be gone before the end. Some will quit. Some will get cut. Some will break in ways that aren't immediately visible. Until suddenly they are. And the first thing they teach you isn't shooting. It's disappearing. Cut to low crawls through grass. You spend hours crawling through wet fields while instructors scan the terrain with binoculars, searching for movement. One mistake, one twitch, one blade of grass, moving unnaturally. And you start over. Again, and again, and again. You build ghillie suits from burlap and local vegetation until you no longer look human. You become dirt, grass, shadow. You learn to move inches per hour. You learn that patience is more lethal than aggression. And you learn the sniper's greatest skill isn't shooting. It's becoming invisible. Music becomes heavier. The candidates start disappearing. One quits after a freezing night exercise leaves him shaking uncontrollably under rain-soaked camouflage. 2 are dropped for safety violations. 1 simply vanishes, his bunk stripped clean before sunrise. No speech. No. Goodbye. Just gone. You stay. Not because you're the strongest, not because you're the best, but because you refuse to picture yourself leaving. Every crawl through mud, every insect walking across your face while you stay motionless, every failure that sends you back to the start. You bury it somewhere deep enough that it can't touch your resolve. Because this isn't just training anymore. This is identity. Transition rifle range? Then comes shooting. And it's harder than you imagined. You thought you knew rifles. You grew up shooting, maybe hunting, maybe out shooting everyone at civilian ranges. None of that matters here. At 1,000 yards, the bullet becomes physics. Wind doesn't push rounds, it bends them. Air temperature changes trajectory. Humidity changes drag. Gravity pulls every shot into a mathematical curve that has to be calculated perfectly. The fundamentals you thought you mastered were only the beginning. Dark music, exhaustion montage. Then comes the final exercise. 4 days in the field. Minimal food, minimal sleep, constant evaluation. You complete stalks under observation. Take scored shots under pressure. Operate on minutes of rest instead of hours. Your body stops distinguishing between skin and mud. Your brain shrinks reality down to one thing. The next task, nothing beyond it exists. The instructors aren't just watching for physical failure. They're watching for mental collapse. Some candidates hold together for weeks, until suddenly they don't. One bad moment, one cracked decision, one invisible fracture under pressure. And they're gone. Not punished, just recognized as unsuitable. Because the profession requires a specific psychology. And psychology can't be taught, only revealed. Music softens slightly. You survive because you discover something about yourself. Pressure quiets your mind instead of overwhelming it. Chaos simplifies things. The harder it gets, the clearer you think. It isn't courage, it's wiring. And when graduation finally comes, you finish in the bottom third of your class. Not exceptional, not terrible, just competent enough to continue. You receive your designation, your orders, and your first deployment. Level 2. The Spotter. Cut to desert rooftops. Deployment imagery. Your team leader is Staff Sergeant Reyes. 4 deployments. Eyes that never fully focus on the present. He carries combat the way some people carry old injuries. Quietly. Permanently. You're the junior member, which means you spot. The shooter pulls the trigger, but the spotter does everything else. Range estimation, wind calls, target confirmation, documentation. You become the shooter's external brain. Your first deployment is to a country you're not supposed to name, doing things that officially never happen. The enemy wears no uniform, looks like civilians, until suddenly, they aren't. You learn to read danger in posture. Movement, hands, silence. The tiny breaks in normal human behavior that appear seconds before violence. Slow, dramatic pause. Your first kill happens through a scope. A man carrying an RPG onto a rooftop overlooking a convoy route. Reyes takes the shot from 800 meters. You call the wind, Confirm the target. Watch the bullet arrive before the sound does. One moment, the man is alive. The next, he isn't. The RPG falls beside him unfired. And what surprises you most is what you feel afterward. Not triumph, not horror, just professional satisfaction. The shot worked, the mission succeeded, and somewhere deep inside yourself, that realization changes you. Level 3, the shooter. Transition older, more confident tone. Reyes rotates home after his 5th deployment. Too much drinking. A marriage already collapsing. Too many ghosts following him into sleep. You attend his farewell, knowing combat doesn't always kill people immediately. Sometimes it happens slowly, over years. Now you're the shooter, because the team needs one. And necessity outranks comfort. Sniper breathing sounds. Your first shot as primary shooter is almost boring. 600 meters. Perfect conditions. Clean execution. But then come the shots that matter. A hostage compound in a valley. 3 Americans held inside. Window closing fast. You set up 1,400 meters away. Farther than you've ever shot in combat. Wind shifting constantly through valley thermals. Your spotter keeps adjusting numbers. Nothing stable. Nothing certain. You wait for hours. Watching guards rotate positions. Watching hostages appear briefly in windows. Still alive. For now. Then, at sunset, the target pauses. Just long enough. You apply corrections that feel half mathematical, half instinct. Breath. Pause. Squeeze. The rifle recoils. The round disappears into distance. And seconds later, the guard drops. The assault team moves in. 20 minutes later, the hostages are airborne. Alive. Because one shot arrived exactly where it needed to. And for the first time, the weight feels different. Level 4. The instructor. Music becomes reflective. Years later, you return to the school, now standing where the instructors once stood over you, evaluating candidates who remind you of yourself. Teaching reveals something strange. You thought you understood shooting, until you had to explain it. Now you study not just technique, but why technique works. You become better by teaching others to survive. Montage of recruits struggling. The candidates fail the same way you once failed. Trigger control. Patience. Mental discipline. You learn quickly that talent means very little. The best candidates aren't always the strongest. Or fastest. Or smartest. They're the ones who treat failure like information. Adjust. Adapt. Continue. You develop a reputation. Harsh. Precise. Fair. Graduates from your cycle perform better overseas. And that's the only statistic that matters. But something inside you starts changing. Training isn't combat. Ranges aren't deployments. You miss the clarity of operational life, the stripped-down focus, the absolute simplicity of survival and mission. And when another deployment opportunity appears, you take it. Level 5. The team leader. Music darker. Mature? The unit feels younger now. Different references. Different technology. Different wars. They call you old man. Mostly joking. Mostly, your knees predict weather. Your back remembers every rooftop and mountain hide you ever occupied. Recovery takes longer, but experience compounds. You lead because you've seen what panic does, what hesitation costs, what overconfidence destroys. Then comes the shot. 1,700 meters. Variable wind. Moving target. Seconds to act. You take it because failure means losing the target forever. The round lands perfectly, and the shot becomes legend inside the unit. People exaggerate it over time. You let them, because morale matters. But privately, you know, luck helped. The wind cooperated. The target paused slightly longer than expected. Physics chose your side that day. Music suddenly quiets. But the shot you remember most isn't the legendary one. It's the mistake. Bad intelligence. Correct procedure. Perfect shot. Wrong man. The reports call it collateral damage. The honest word is simpler. A civilian dies because you believe the information you were given. The review board clears you. Command clears you. But the face never clears you. That face follows you home. Into silence. Into sleep. Into mirrors. And you learn something terrifying. The soldiers who feel nothing are far more dangerous than the soldiers who feel too much. Because guilt means conscience survived. Level 6. The Master. The title is unofficial. Given by peers, not institutions. Master. It means you survived long enough to become rare. A sniper who didn't burn out, didn't break, didn't die. You help develop new systems now. Smart optics, automated ballistic computers, rifles that calculate corrections automatically. Technology designed to remove human error. But you understand something the engineers don't. Human judgment isn't the flaw. It's the safeguard, because conscience cannot be programmed. Your last deployment is both the easiest and the hardest. Easy because the operations feel routine now. Hard because you know they're ending. And endings change everything. You appreciate small moments, routine shots, ordinary missions, things you once ignored. Then, one day, without realizing it at the time, you take your final shot. Standard distance, standard conditions, professional execution, nothing legendary. And somehow, that feels right. Ending music, emotional, reflective. 22 years, hundreds of operations. Kills you stopped counting because counting started feeling wrong. You train shooters who train shooters after them. Your techniques survive in soldiers who will never know your name. But what you bring home never fully stays overseas. The faces, the sounds, the smell of cordite, the hypervigilance that no longer belongs in civilian life, the relationships sacrificed along the way. But also this, the people still alive because you were good at something terrible? Hostages rescued, convoys protected, attacks prevented before they happened. The math never balances perfectly. It never can. You did what your country asked, and you did it better than most. Final visual rifle case closing. The rifle goes into a case. The case goes into a closet. And the closet stays closed most days. But the identity remains underneath civilian life. Because you can't unknow what you know. Some nights you dream about shots you didn't take, targets you hesitated on, lives that continued because you waited. You wonder what those people became. Whether your restraint changed the world for better or worse. You'll never know, because that's the nature of the work. One breath at a time, one decision at a time, one shot at a time.